All right, so we're back here on another Couch Coach Live. What's going on, Couch Coaches? We are back. Another Tuesday edition of the Couch Coach Live podcast. Got a full house here. What up, JB?
What's up?
What's going on, Maui?
Oh, chilling, man. How's everything?
Everything's everything, man. How's y'all fellas' week?
So far, so good. No complaints.
So, yeah.
Same old.
Same here.
Hey,
just,
man, I got to see alumni, I guess you could say, of
For
my
real.
show today.
For real.
Yeah, Miss Amy's in town. Yeah.
For real. Oh, that's what's up.
Yeah.
How's she doing, man?
She's doing okay, man. A conversation I think we have off the show because it's a sports show that was really interesting happened to her in Richmond, and it seemed like that might be a conversation that a lot of people need to have. But but she's doing okay, man. She's in Iowa, you know what I'm saying? Doing what she does.
Man. That's a nice place to be. Iowa was good. Iowa was good to me. I ain't gonna front. Iowa was good.
Yeah, you look like you would have a good time in Iowa.
Yeah, man. I won that money at the casino that time. Man, I was straight.
I forgot about that.
Shoot, that was my coming home to Richmond money. So I didn't have to worry about no check that week. So yeah. Yeah, man. Iowa was great to me. So, fellas, what a crazy start to the NBA playoffs. So let's just unpack what happened today, much less more so than we'll backtrack to Monday. But man, the Orlando Magic once again, in back-to-back years, take game ones in the first round. I'm gonna go around the horn with your thoughts. Maui, go your thoughts first. Maui, what's your thoughts?
I was busy today, so I watched the highlights because I was writing down stats, and I was like, Vic. I don't want to mess his name up. Is it
Vukovic,
yeah.
And I'm like, who is this? And I would look at it, and I'm like, 35 points and 14 rebounds. Yep. But this goes what we have been saying all year. Anybody can win. You go to a game, you think this team's supposed to win. Next thing you know, it'd be a team out there just balling. You don't know who these players or where they came from. You know what I mean? Y'all might have. I ain't never heard of him. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And in the playoff game, step 14 points and 35 points and 14 rebounds. Wow. And then with the Bucks, I go back to that game when I said that he put everybody on the starting five on punishment, and he started with the bench. It was something going on where some chemistry or something just wasn't hitting like him. I mean, Bledsoe, 15 points, 5 assists. You know what I mean? They always said he's the one that needs to be step up if the Bucks need to win. And then when I looked at the stats, you can kind of look at it and tell, you know what I mean? I don't know, man. It just seemed like the teams that you think supposed to really be balling or got a chance to win, they're not really playing well in this bubble.
Your thoughts, JB?
Well, Deshaun, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. You don't know who Vukovic is? This dude is good for 3. He's been good for 3 years. I mean, he's added 3 balls to his game, so he's one of their best players. But I think it just comes down to the fact that Middleton and Brook Lopez had very bad games today, and they both need to play well in order for them to win. And also, I thought the Bucks had a decisive advantage in the bench. The Magic outscored them like 39-37 with the bench. So, I mean, it's a series. It's the first of 4. It wouldn't surprise me if the Bucks don't win 4 in a row or 4 of the next 5. I don't think Orlando's going to win, but it was a pleasant surprise.
Hey, you never know.
Yeah, Lopez didn't hit nothing. Yeah, definitely huge shout out to our guy Stephen Gillespie of breaking the game. Yeah, and also he's had and Magic came to make a scene. But yeah, and to me, I'm gonna be real because last year I was like, oh my god, the Magic beat the Raptors. But I'm not. If we sit here Thursday after game 2 and Orlando's up 2-0. then I'm like, okay, let's have a panic flag. Let's kind of like, okay, this could be something serious. But I think they're gonna be. I think this is just an anomaly. I think this is just a situation where, just situation. Game one happened, and then, what happened. Maybe the home cooking helped, particularly as far as being in Orlando and
Right.
potentially,
I
but
think
nothing
that's
crazy.
I think that might be one of the problems. But I'm telling you, I used to watch the Bucks, man, and
Yeah,
I just know they went on the stretch. They were starting to lose, and you can kind of tell like something was missing.
yeah.
Something. You know what I mean? Something was missing, and people was like starting to figure out, especially when they suspended the season. Everybody was starting to make that turn because they knew the playoffs was coming up. You know what I mean? So it was
Hmm.
like, okay, you think this team is supposed to be so dominant because they wasn't beginning of the season, but they wasn't. You could see the people really starting to step up and starting to make their move. You know,
Really?
you understand what I'm saying? And I'm telling you, man, I remember I watched the last few Bucks games. They didn't look too well. They didn't look too
But I
well.
mean, they won 11 of their last 15 games. So I don't think it's that they didn't look good. They were playing
11 of
some
their
good
last
teams.
15 games. Right.
Yeah.
11 of their last 15
11
games.
and
Let's talk
4.
about those last few games. Talk about those last few games.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man, he
What?
basically his starting five
Because
on the
that was
bench, and
playing.
he
Because
started
that,
his bench.
but that's not true though. Because a lot of times what they were doing, they had basically wrapped up home court advantage beginning of like a March. He was resting his guys, and that's exactly what he's going to do. Because Budenholzer always does that.
That's not what they were talking about. They said that there was something going on with the team, and a lot of dudes wasn't. They gonna have to
It
figure out
wasn't.
something because a lot of dudes got to prove that they ready to step up the playoffs, or they was gonna be just like it was last year in the playoffs.
But you're making it seem like they had a horrible playoff last year. I mean, they went. What did they go? They got knocked out by Toronto.
Yeah,
They went 10-5 in the
Yeah.
playoffs. I think that that's much ado about nothing. Like I think the only two teams that had better records than them before the last 15 games before the restart were the Lakers, and I think the Raptors did, and that was it.
But yeah, and like yeah, that was the thing. It's just one of the things where like game one just an anomaly. Like you said, I can see them. Maybe Atlanta may get a game here and there, but I doubt it. That's like to me, that's like hyperbole if they get another game.
hmm
But I think it woke Milwaukee up, and I think it's just now it's just to a point where hey, like you said, Middleton he'll step up. Who Bleacher Report has the eighth best player in the NBA. I'm Mike White at which, we tend to disagree about that. But I think they're gonna be fine in this series. Now when they play Miami, we might then we can now we might can put a little panic or might be more of a closer series. But yeah, man, it's gonna be interesting. So any other thoughts of just like how last night? Anything that stood out from you guys last night?
I didn't like
Um,
the ejection.
Yeah, it's just one thing, yeah, and it's just the new era of it where they're just doing that, like as far as to kind of make a statement. But it's just one of the things where it lets you know, like now, hey, they gonna call stupid stuff on you, and you just gotta be mentally tough and prepared for it. And it's just one of those like Jedi mind tricks that Doc Rivers and those guys do eloquently. They get your head out the game. And hey,
Mm.
it does suck, but this is just it's NBA in 2020. Unfortunately, JB.
well, I didn't like the ejection either. But if you
Yeah.
break down both the technicals, they were technicals. So you look at the first technical was the air punch. They have been calling
Mm.
that consistently, like during the bubble. Grayson Allen got one, and I believe John Morant got one. So that's a technical. And if you look at the second one, okay, I thought the second one you shouldn't do that to throw a guy out the game. But generally speaking, if you if one of your teammates gets into an altercation and you go inside of the altercation, you are going to get a technical. So I don't like both of the technicals, but by the letter of the law, they were good technicals. Now I think that you could take issue with the league office, but I think a lot of people were mad at the officials last night, and the officials are getting the stuff from the league office.
Yeah, and like you said, it's just what it is. It's for the as far as just the way we live in the NBA. So, all right. So definitely huge shout out to Steven who bought us up. How about that Jazz Denver game, guys? What you guys thought about that?
You can get it, Jamie.
Well,
Okay. So this was one that I wanted to talk to for a bit because I think this is the prediction I had the hardest time with, and I'm still having a hard time with it because my prediction was Denver in 6, but after watching the game yesterday, I feel worse about that prediction. I think the two most likely outcomes in that series are Denver in 6 or Utah in 7, and there were just some structural things that I really didn't like from Denver. I think that Utah has a decisive advantage with their coaching. And I also think that eventually Utah is going to get Mike Conley back, and that's going to help them out. Now, Denver played really good yesterday offensively, but I think a lot of the shots they made yesterday, I don't think that's sustainable.
but yeah, I liked it. I mean, it was a classic matchup, and Donovan Mitchell, 57 points in a loss. And it's just one of the things where it's like, yeah, man. Then Jamal Murray. It's funny, JB, you put me on a Jamal Murray. I was like, okay, I just how when you get those Kentucky guys and it gets kind of convoluted, and you said it off the jump, like right before, like pre-draft, you was like, yo, Jamal Murray gonna probably be one of the best players that come out of that Kentucky class. And it was right.
He got 36 points.
Yeah, he clutch down in the fourth quarter.
And he can shoot off the dribble too. That's the thing I like about him. One thing about Denver I don't like, they only really have 2 people in their starting lineup who can handle the ball with Will Barton and Gary Harris missing. And we don't know when Will Barton or Gary Harris are going to come back. So, but Jamal Murray was phenomenal down the stretch. He got really hot from like the last 4 minutes of the fourth quarter into overtime. He basically won the game for them.
Yeah. Yeah. Jamal Murray was fantastic. Another one, I was Luka. I like Luka's debut, even though the 42 points, even though he had 11 turnovers, but still, this is man first go round. I've been deemed the unofficial president of the Luka Doncic fan club, as people as eloquently have said in the past few weeks. I like what he did in that situation. Like we said, going back to the Porzingis ejection, that's one of the things where you're like, okay, wow, that changed the complexity of the game where, we could have been talking about the upset, potentially, of the Clippers in game 1. But, man, Luka I'm telling you, man, Luka's getting ready to develop that legend, man. And I remember one time somebody was talking about a debate, who's better, Dame or Luka, and I'm like, you can't, Luka's only 21. We can't even put him in the same conversation as Dame because he's had so many clutch game-winning shots to end series, much less Luka's only there for this second year in the league. And I'm like, we can't, it's too unfair to put him at that. Now, if we said, hey, how he would have stacked up to a 21-year-old, which, I mean, then we can have a conversation. But what Dame has done in this league, no. Come on now. We gotta kind of slow down the brakes. Even though the unofficial president of the fan club loves Luka, but I don't like. That's a little bit too extreme for my taste.
Yeah. But I would say this: a 21-year-old Luka Doncic is better than what a 21-year-old Damian Lillard was.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's one thing. The comparison was more so current day, Dame now versus Luka today. When I'm like, absolutely. If he was 21, yeah, I mean, I'm almost to a point where I could put him in the same conversation as a 21-year-old LeBron, or a 21 Tracy McGrady, potentially.
He's balling.
Yeah,
and he's leading the team, so he's really balling. I liked 2 players from that game. I thought that really helped both teams was Tim Hardaway Jr. and the Morris twins. Like he really he stepped up. Like I saw when the Mavs really was winning, he made a little run for them and kind of kept him in the fold.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be interesting. And I was really impressed by Toronto yesterday, even though they played Brooklyn. But to me, the beauty of them, like Brooklyn was trying to come back here and there, but they kept the foot on the gas, and that's what you have to do in these type of situations where we've seen like runs, like to a point where you can go to the bathroom and grab a snack. A team have a 10-point lead and it's evaporated by the time you come back. So for Toronto to put the foot on their neck was just great, and like you said, definitely huge shout out to Van Fleet who was doing this thing in that game as well, but. But yeah, man,
but you see, they the champions. You supposed to do that. Like you don't even, the Nets is there and they playing hard and they in the playoffs. They've been playing well. You supposed to say, hey, you're not even on my level. You supposed to just knock them down as fast as you can.
Yeah,
just you know what I mean.
Yeah,
but man, I don't want to mess this dude's name up for the Nets. But number 9, I think it's number 9. Got an afro. I don't know his name. I kind of want to mess it up. It's T.
Oh,
number 9. He got 26 points.
Say number 9. Yeah.
Yeah, just say number 9. He got 26 points. He and LeVert got 15. But I like their coach. You know what I mean? I like their coach now. I like the like when they was playing zone. I like coaches that try different things to make the best of what the team that they have. Work on whatever strengths that they have. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Nick Nurse.
Right.
Who should? And many people say he should be the coach of the year. Which I wouldn't have a problem if he is. Man, me neither.
And I like the Nets coach. You know what I mean? And they probably gonna get somebody up, but I like the Nets coach.
I'm glad that you and that. So what we're gonna do now is, so JB, we got something in common this week. We're coachless. We're coachless. So
coachless.
Wow. And first of all, before I get into my little tangent, let's talk about Alvin Gentry first. So Alvin Gentry, of course, a Woj bomb that hit on Saturday afternoon like a raging wildfire announced the firing of Alvin Gentry. 2 days removed from you guys' bubble appearance, where your bubble, when the bubbles burst. JB, I want your thoughts on the firing of Alvin Gentry first.
Well, I think it had to be done. So Alvin Gentry, I think he's a really good offensive coach, but I don't think he's very good defensively. I think one of the things that hurt the Pelicans was that their defensive coach decided not to join them in the bubble. Jeff Blesdick, I think that's how you pronounce his name. He was an assistant with Houston a few years ago. Yeah. But I think Alvin Gentry is basically a sacrificial lamb of basically the Dell Demps era. Dell Demps did a very bad job of putting talent together. You mix that in with New Orleans' inability to stay healthy the last few years, and we're at Alvin Gentry getting fired. I do think it had to be done. But part of me still feels bad for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Maui, your thoughts?
So Jamie, you saying because they got a new GM, right?
Yes.
So most likely, by having a new GM, he was probably gonna want to get a coach that he wants, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
and I
pretty
think
much.
That
yeah. So that was going to happen. So that was already in. Yeah.
If New Orleans, I think, plays better in the bubble, they went 2-6. If they go maybe 5-3, I think Gentry keeps his job. But the fact that they played so poorly, I think that the writing was on the wall.
Okay. And what was interesting about it all, because they first they interviewed Alvin Gentry, and he was saying how pretty much Griff was like, I want somebody with the same similar focus, and he's thinking to himself, well, hey, I think every coach has the same type of focus. So basically that lets me know like he was going to be gone regardless, because that's what normally happens with general managers. They just clean house and do what they have to do. But like you said, and I always thought it was going to be a perfect fit. Well, not a perfect fit, but because I don't know if you remember the days when he used to coach the Clippers, because I always thought about y'all as that type of team. but of course with more talent. Y'all, those kids. I love Darius Miles and Quentin Richardson and those boys, but
Oh yeah,
they don't have
yeah.
nothing compared to Zion and Bi and Lonzo. So I always looked at that as like, oh man, this is gonna be the next as far as that Clippers team where and he did pretty good with that. And I thought it's kind of reminiscent of the Clippers job that he did, which is crazy now. It's been almost 20 years ago, which is crazy.
Yeah.
That's another thing. Like God, we're old.
Oh yeah.
like, but yeah. So before so the first quote unquote NBA firing in the post coronavirus world was Jim Boylen of my beloved Chicago Bulls, who was fired on Friday.
So how you feel about that, Chris? I mean, Coach.
I'm okay with it. I thought it was going to happen from the start. Like you said, when you have a new GM, they want to bring their own people in, and Boylen just rubbed me the wrong way in so many ways. Like I always say this, the whole thing when I heard about him instituting a punch clock for a bunch of 20-something-year-old NBA players, I'm like, dude, you're not gonna connect with these guys. Championship belts.
Military. He comes from,
Yeah, he's military, right? But you gotta think about it.
Yeah, military background. Yeah.
Right. But you gotta think about it. With with these new age NBA guys, punching the clock is not gonna work. It's not.
Oh,
I mean, right. And if we would have been a bubble type team when we were like hovering around 500 or going to the playoffs, this would be great. But if you're 39 and 84, it's just not gonna work. And that's just you just charge it to the game. It wasn't gonna work. And I figured, at the end of the day, I mean, it's just, and then the whole thing with him and Levine, like almost to a point where, I mean, I guarantee you, like Levine was going to get a clean shot on him, and I mean, they were saying how there's situations where they were like to a point where they had to almost damn near be broken up because they was about they was about to fight each other because it's just so much animosity and bad blood. But to his credit, I do like what he did as far as help. He revitalized, I think, in my personal opinion, Chris Dunn's career. Because it's funny, like, he was pretty much in an NBA graveyard. Mm-hmm. But he kind of came into life and became, like, one of the leaders of this team. So you're hoping whoever's the next coach can expand on that. And then you got great pieces on this team. I mean, especially, of course, you got Zach LaVine, who's the 11th leading scorer in the NBA. And then you got the who should have been, well, a guy that could have been in the running for the Rookie of the Year, Kobe White. He could have, but he got hurt real quick. That's another thing too, where it sucked that the NBA got suspended at a point. Dude, he was putting up 30 consecutive 30-point games in a row. Like he was cooking. Come on now, he was cooking. He was cooking. He was cooking. You don't give me that look like that. I'm just saying. I ain't saying he should have been like with like Kendrick Nunn and all those guys. But at the end of the day, he was another guy that was coming to his own. Especially I mean, dude, like that's crazy. Like what he was doing, before the league got suspended, he was doing his thing and also, yeah, definitely in Gafford as well. Gafford was balling and everything. But, yeah, man, it's just one of the things where it was time, and they knew it was going to happen. When you have a new regime like that, it was bound to happen. And, hopefully this time we make the right decision. So before we go into that, JB, who should be the next coach of your beloved New Orleans Pelicans?
I don't know. I have to think about it. I would say, and I'm not crazy about this, but I would say maybe I'm thinking because of Ty Lue and his ties to David Griffin, I think Ty Lue is the front runner to be the next coach of the team. It's hard for me to say because I kind of want them to do outside the box hiring, like what the Raptors did with Nick Nurse after getting rid of Dwayne Casey. I would prefer that. I would prefer a younger coach who's very flexible, but I don't know what's going to happen.
All right, so my guy Steven said D'Antoni. What your thoughts on that?
D'Antoni, I think actually probably. I like D'Antoni as a coach. I actually think D'Antoni has gotten a raw deal over the years. And let's just be honest, if Chris Paul doesn't pull his hamstring back in 18, the Rockets won the championship, and people think of D'Antoni in a very different light. So D'Antoni, to me, could easily have won 2 championships by now, because that 2009 Phoenix team, if they beat San Antonio, they won the championship that year as well. So D'Antoni's a good coach, but he's a bit older, and I'm not sure if David Griffin would hire him.
So you want a younger coach?
Yeah.
I would prefer a younger coach, a guy in his late 30s or early 40s. Outside the box hire, a guy that's like very, yeah.
I agree with Steven.
Like Nick Nurse.
Yeah, like, and I like that. I think it's time for those type of coaches to get a chance. You know what I'm saying? It's like come from the G League, or you know what I'm saying, or assistant, a guy who's been assistant for so long to deal with. Like I wouldn't mind. You wouldn't mind Ty Lue? I mean, he played. I think because even though he won a championship, but still, you should still look at him like he's a young new coach. At least, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean he's young, but like I'm not.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm not a real big fan of his defense. I'm not a big fan of his defensive strategy,
Okay.
and like even though Cleveland did win the championship, under Blatt, they were a top 5 defense, and after Ty Lue took over, their defense got progressively worse each year. So I'm not a big fan of his defensive structure and his defensive system.
What about Jason Kidd?
I don't really care for Jason Kidd that much either. Like, I think Jason Kidd, you look at what happened with Jason Kidd. Jason Kidd basically had the same roster with Bucks. Budenholzer comes in and he took the Bucks to a new level, and Jason Kidd had the Bucks like as a 7 or 8 seed.
Right.
Yeah, that's funny because I remember we were talking about that as far as because we were like, because at that time we were like, okay, they were kind of emergent, but then like you said, when Budenholzer came, it was it was just a totally different team what they are currently now. Where because they were a team that didn't make the playoffs. They were like 7th, 8th. So he said, Lou to Brooklyn if they don't keep Vaughn. Potentially.
I can see that happening. Actually,
I can see that happening.
I think KD and Kyrie would respect him.
Yeah, but I don't. Kyrie and Ty Lue didn't get along.
But I think that a lot of that had to do with just him being unhappy in Cleveland, not him and Ty Lue, like just a personality or a clash. Yeah,
I got you. He because I think they were saying that he said Ty Lue was saying, "Hey man, you need to, get the other players involved," and he said so that so they can get shots, and he was like, "Well, I don't have to do all the work and do this and that to get shots. I can get shot anytime I want to, But hey, anything's possible,
And I also kind of understand where Kyrie's coming from, because at that time Kyrie was playing with LeBron, and LeBron is the primary playmaker on those teams. He's the one who basically was playing the point guard, where Kyrie was a point guard by position, but he was actually more of a shooting guard in Cleveland.
Because he is a shooting guard.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
So what about Jaeger for the Pelicans?
No, for the Bulls.
Jaeger, I like Jaeger as a coach, but I think that he has a lot of problems getting along with other people. And you can't keep on burning bridges, because I've heard some stories about him in Memphis and him in Sacramento. He's a really good coach. He gets a lot out of his teams, but he's not really good at like building relationships with his players and building relationships within the front office and within the coaching staff. And that comes back to Burnham.
Yeah. Now, as far as with the Bulls concerned, I think everybody in this room should know who. I think everybody knows Kenny Atkinson. I think I think everyone would know that essentially that's who's my wish list at this point. Because at first it looked like the onside the favorite was going to be Adrian Griffin, which I've heard some stuff that's been going on him personally, which might deter him from getting that actual job. So I look at Kenny Atkinson. I think what he did in Brooklyn, it's just something that was amazing. Where he didn't have any like adequate draft pieces. Where you got to think about it, because he pretty much got shafted in that KG Paul Pierce deal. So he was able to develop the guys. So the guys we talk about now, the D'Angelo Russells, because remember D'Angelo Russell was this guy that was in LA that was just amongst who he was a small fish in a big pond. Like right. He deemed him as a snitch, right. Essentially. And he went on to become an all-star, and now he's probably going to be pay big dividends in Minnesota. Guys that guys like Karis LeVert, guys we talked about all the time, and what he did in Atlanta. Marquise's brother, well, Jeff Teague. I guess nobody really knows Marquise Teague. Like talk about it. I guess that's a bull thing, but like what Jeff Teague did we did for Jeff Teague in Atlanta. Just all everything like player development. So I look at it from a standpoint of he'll be perfect, and there is a little bit of bias, of course. Obviously, there's always bias compared to it, as far as the University of Richmond connection. But hey, I mean, at least I'm being honest. But I mean, what he was a point guard of our 1988 Sweet 16 team that that led us to one of our biggest seasons in Spider history. But I mean, hey, at least I'm being real.
Right.
But
Dude, I just had I'm giving that look like no. I actually do think Kenny Atkinson would be a good hire for either the Bulls or the Pelicans, but the fact that everything has to come back to like the University of Richmond or the University of North Carolina, man, like I'm just giving them
or being a Springer or a Springer or a
has
Springer.
to. It has to. Everything got to come back around. Everything has to come back around. It's a part of life.
Look, somebody asked me, "Hey, do you guys talk about local talent?" I said, "Yeah, especially if they go to Highland Springs."
I mean, well, hey. I mean, around here, hey, don't get mad because, hey, ain't none, these 4 or 5-star athletes just coming out of nowhere on 15 South Oak Street. I can't do nothing about that. I mean, if we got 4 or 5-star athletes coming through the hallways of 15 South Oak Street, I can't do nothing about that. I can't contain that. I can't stop that. Hey,
that's crazy.
But yeah, man, that's how it goes down, man.
Okay, fellas, the Rockets and Thunder game just went final about 10 minutes ago. The Rockets beat the Thunder 123-108.
And like it was kind of coming back to, with that OKC was looking like they were coming back, and game 2 back to the drawing board. But that's still gonna be another classic battle. I think. I'd say that 3-guard lineup that's like the death matchup. We got Chris Paul, Schroeder, and then the future Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. The future.
Yeah.
Man, I tell you, I know Doc was pissed that he had to get rid of him for Paul George. I knew he was like, damn.
What do you think, Jamie? What do you think that the Thunder need to do to beat the Rockets? You think they need to do bring Adams and use him as the pick and roll, slow the game down?
I don't think so, because I think that I think Adams is in a precarious situation because he could be very important in the series, but I also don't think that he moves well enough to deal with James Harden in pick and roll situations. So for me, I just think it's a bad matchup for the Thunder. And actually, my prediction, I think the Rockets are going to win that in 5 or 6 games. Even with Russell Westbrook probably not going to play until maybe game 3, I just don't think it's a good matchup for the Thunder. And just the fact that Houston's defensive personnel, they just swarm you and they have this aggressive switching defense. And if Chris Paul doesn't play out of his mind, I think it's going to be very hard for them.
Yeah, because it's funny because they almost kind of a lot alike, but with size, and of course Houston plays defense. But it's just one of the things where it's just interesting. Like the only really made it interesting was that having Russ, which I think if Russ it would have been. I mean, it would have been an easier way to be like, all right, they probably gonna sweep if that. But
Yeah, because I think Russell Westbrook being out hurts them, but he pushes the ball a lot. And well, James Harden, he's not going to push the ball like that. But like the problem is if they double James Harden, he's going to be able to kick it out to shooters because everybody in that lineup can shoot now. And they have a healthy Eric Gordon.
yeah.
Right.
And man, it's gonna be interesting though. And then your next coach, JB, just playing chess where everybody playing checkers, essentially. In that matchup, but yeah, man, it's gonna be very interesting going down this stretch, man. It's gonna be fun, man. The thing I really like about the playoffs, the late game is at 9:00. I'm not gonna front. The late games at 9:00 helps tremendously.
I'm happy you brought that up because we've been having conversations about a lot of people saying that the ratings are down, and I'm like, what they're supposed to do is games at times because a lot of people they're not in the house. Some people like where we at, it's almost like it ain't a pandemic going on. Like people are out, and some people forgetting that the games are even on. But I'm like, well, it's the playoffs. Y'all gonna eventually catch it. You know what I mean? But how do y'all feel with everything going on, like the whole situation with the bubble? Like I started watching JaVale McGee. And he was showing how the bubble was in the beginning, and how every week things moved forward. You know what I mean? How do y'all feel about that? Like it's completely different in the beginning, but now they're getting a little bit. They still being strict, but they're letting people breathe a little bit. How do y'all feel about that?
I mean, I'm cool with it. I mean, just as far as just as far as just overall, like the players' sake, or just in general?
Say the players' safety, the sacrifice they had to make to lead a family, like the sacrifice at first that their food wasn't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it seemed like at first everything was closed, but literally it's still closed, but they starting to like let them go a little bit more than what they were.
Yeah, and I think you will, because now you got to think about it. It's less people on the bubble at this point, because 16s went home last week. So, right, and then, 8 of them going to leave in the next 2 weeks. So, who knows how it's going to be. And then we'll talk about, and we'll wrap it around where we'll talk about, like, the visitors coming, which we'll get into that as well. But I think, I mean, it's good. I mean, I think it's just a situation where now, your downtime is going to be limited, because if you're playing every other day, like to me, I think this is a perfect situation. I think, these, the scrimmages and then the seeding games, for some teams, it was meaningless. But now every day you're playing like every team is playing meaningless basketball. So it's just one of those things where I think this is a perfect situation for them, where you don't really have to worry about no outside situations or getting caught up in some stuff. It's almost more so of a good way for them to, to focus in for the game or whatever. But I mean, I love it. I mean, especially, as far as the gaming wise, where we got games starting at 1:00. Like, I mean, that's right. That's a person, that's a couch coach's dream.
Right, especially for a person who really like working from home and you know what I mean. So I could see that. It's just it's those conversations I've been kind of having, because everybody's nose been kind of been up and kind of complaining. I was like, man, thank God that they dared. They left their family, made a sacrifice to do that. You know what I mean? Right. And then for them to always talk bad about NBA players and how diva and spoiled they are. I mean, just think about it, man. They literally, the food looked horrible. You know what I mean? Like, it was bad at first, and then like not 2 weeks later, they finally got a restaurant open that they can go to, and then it almost made them value oh man, I could finally get good food now. And they really wasn't complaining much. It was a trip. It was like they was really just happy to be able to play basketball.
Right.
It was real interesting. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Um, yeah. Yeah. And I'm not surprised that they're loosening up the restrictions on them because, like Chris mentioned, 6 teams are gone now, and I think the restrictions are going to get even looser in 2 weeks when they're down to 8 teams.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And Deshaun, you made a very good point, and I'm going to go back to what we were talking about at the beginning. Do you think Milwaukee's bad game had the fact to do that they played at 1 o'clock? Because generally speaking, you're not used to playing an afternoon basketball game in the NBA like that, especially a meaningful afternoon basketball game. They don't normally play playoff games like 1 o'clock. The game started at 1 o'clock. I mean, it happens, but I think that it's kind of a weird time for you to be playing a playoff game on during the week. I could see on the weekend, but during the week, a Tuesday at 1 o'clock, that's kind
Right.
of crazy here.
Right. Right. That's true. And that's another thing that we were talking about. Like it's a lot of variables that you have to deal with. That's you know what I mean? The norm. That's not like the norm, you know what I'm saying? And then you gotta see the people. People don't understand when these guys got a whole routine what they gotta do to pump themselves up, and then they might have a picture of a person like, man, I hate that dude right there. You know what I mean? And now they got to see them every day. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's just
Right.
really, really different.
Just like Jamal Murray, like he was, like he was talking about how, like him and Donovan Mitchell in the same hotel, so he's seeing him, outside, and like, man, this dude just dropped 57 points on me. Look at the the life in the bubble, So
Hmm.
yeah, man,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Right, right. I seen that too. I was like, wow, that's different. you know, that's
Yeah,
different. And it's got to take them to their childhood when they played tournaments in AAU. It's got to.
but yeah, man, it's. I mean, I like it. I mean, it's one of the things where I just like the fact of having these games, and pretty much having and it's one of the things where everything evens out. Like everybody plays every other day. It's not a situation like, okay, well, the Lakers play tonight, then they'll play Thursday night, and then they don't play again the Sunday because, oh, well, the Lakers got to
Hmm.
go to Portland. And so now we
Yeah.
know, okay, every other day these are the matchups. So it's like it's a little bit more easy to follow because you're like, okay, well, damn, because that's another thing too that used to kill me with the playoffs because you'll have, and this is, I don't know, for some bizarre reason, and like it's always like the Pacers, like they'll have a weird game, they'll play like on NBA TV, right?
Hmm.
And then they'll play, like, say if it's the day is Thursday, Tuesday, they will play again the Friday, and then they'll play Sunday. It'll be game 3 of their series, but it'll be game 4 of another series, and you're like,
Hmm.
this
Right,
this
right.
is
And you
by
try to pick the
far
one that you want to watch. Right.
that, yeah. And then now it's everywhere. Where now they're not simultaneously because you remember how, like, I was going back to the NBA TV, like usually back in the day when the Bucks and the Pacers or who else would play, they would be on NBA TV like Monday through Friday. Like they wouldn't have no game, like, because the other teams will be playing. So at right around the same time, or maybe like an hour, or what have it. Like they have a game at 7:30, but the main game is at 8, or what, or vice
Hmm.
versa. So
Yeah, like a
this way, right?
like I'm with you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Even though my hours are weird, so I'm like, dang, I be having to watch the score through through Google. I be having to
Yeah,
refresh. Like,
man.
oh damn. Like,
I know, and then shoot these runs, man. It's like you can shoot refresh, and you be like, damn, they done lost the lead.
man, just think about if they
But
did this, but they could have fans there. If there was this
yeah,
same format and they had fans there, like that would be crazy. Because it's
that
like
would be
it's almost
crazy.
like you still. It'll be crazy just with the format of how the games are. You know what I mean? Mind you, the big three a little bit.
Yeah, I love it, man. I like all the setup because of course, I had these preconceived notions, like, oh my god, you're gonna see the other game in the other shot. You can hear the game from the other. I was like, all these little preconceived notions being at a place that had 4 courts. You're like, oh man, they're gonna be divided by a volleyball net. It's gonna look like the YMCA. It's gonna look like trash. Like, doubting it before even. And then, because like it's something that we never seen. Because once the basketball tournament came on, you're like, okay, well, the
Hmm.
NBA spot gonna look like this times 1,000. Like, okay, now I
Hmm.
kind of, you see the vision. Of course, you're not gonna see the vision
Hmm.
because you're just used to something that you've seen before, and you're like, oh gosh, this gonna have this gonna look. Because I thought it was
Right.
gonna look like the Orlando Summer League. Now the Orlando Summer League, you're like, oh, like, and I'm telling you, I swear to you, that's the first thing I thought was like the Orlando Summer League. That's how these games gonna look.
Right.
Trash,
Like,
trash.
Yeah,
yeah.
but they've been
It's
very.
actually been
Yeah,
entertaining.
that was my biggest fear. But the games have been pretty good. Better than I expected.
Yeah,
More entertaining. That last game between Portland and Brooklyn, man, that was an entertaining game. That had like a lot.
yes,
That was
That had a
crazy,
playoff.
man.
That had a playoff. That had a playoff feel to it. You could just like feel, even with no fans, you could feel the desperation like in the players and everything. So
Yeah, I'm screaming at the TV. Y'all too close. You got to stay up 10 points. Like, you know what I'm saying? You don't want to be that
yeah,
close to Dame. You too close. That was killing me, man. And
yeah,
then
and
players making shots. You didn't even know was gonna make shots. I was like, "Where Levert
right,
at?" You know?
and then
yeah, Tyler Johnson. This dude was hitting like 3 pointers, and he was
yeah,
hitting off the dribble mid range shots. Like was unlike Karis LeVert can ball, so what he was doing didn't surprise me. But like I was like, damn, Tyler Johnson,
off
where
the
has he
streets,
been?
off the
Look, that's
streets.
number 9.
Yeah,
He's number 9. They just put him. They give him a different name. That dude.
But
Right? Remember, I said I couldn't name. I didn't know the dude's last name. I couldn't pronounce it
oh
for the
yeah,
Nets. Yeah, that's
yeah,
I do.
yeah.
but
Yeah, but yeah, man. I was like, it was weird because I felt like they had a chance, but I felt like Levert was doing too much 1-on-1. You know what I mean? It was like he was starting to play a lot of ISO. He was doing well, and then he sat him down, and then when he came in, he was you know what I'm saying? He was just forcing it. You know what I mean? When he
yeah,
had guys that
man.
was hitting shots, man. He had guys that was hitting shots. Then they put that zone. When they put that zone on the Trailblazers, I thought that was so interesting. You know what I mean? Until they adjusted on it. But like that third quarter was crazy, man. But hey, that's what we watch sports for, right?
Absolutely, man. It was, man. And
Yeah.
so now going forward, should we have a playing game for the AFC? I'm gonna go around the horn. Who wanna go first?
I'll go first. I've been
Uh,
I'll go first. Me personally, I said yeah. I've been saying it for a long time, but I was trying to connect it to the All Star game. But I think it, to do something extra. Yeah, I think so. Especially for like if it's the Western Conference, it's usually it'd be so close. You know what I mean? If they balance out the East, if they balance out the East a little bit more, it would be interesting. You know, Jamie, you don't like it?
I don't like the format of it. So I think that if you're going to do that, just make it series best 2 out of 3. Don't have it so if you're a ninth seed, you have to win 2 games, but then the AFC only has to win 1 game. I don't like that.
Hmm.
Yeah, and like to me,
Yeah, so make it a make
you
it
only
make
do
it
a
make it
yeah.
make it a 2 out of 3. Yeah,
Now, if you do that, I don't want a team that's four games behind
Right.
to play in the playing game. Now, if you're like a half game, like if the eighth and ninth seed was a half game difference between each other, yes. But to me, if
Right.
I'm gonna get the AC and I got a 4 game cushion over you, hell no. Like I'm not gonna lose my spot because I lost in 1 game. I lose what would be a 4 game lead, especially in how tight the West is, and not to even mention we think about next year. What's the frightening thing about the West is there's 15 legitimate Western Conference teams that can make the playoffs next year. That's spooky, and 7 of them not gonna make it. We got 7 if everything looks how it is now, because the only 2 teams that didn't make it was Golden State and Minnesota. And Minnesota, you figured, hey, maybe the finally the first year with D'Angelo Russell there completely, they're gonna have a draft asset. Then Golden State, they're gonna have a draft asset. Who knows what they're gonna do with that pick? If they get the pick, they might, who knows, or they can trade out and get valuable commodity pieces. And I'm like, you can really make an argument for 15 teams in the Western Conference to
I
make
tell
the
you
playoffs
this,
next year.
I'm happy
It's
these
it's
Warriors
it's
ain't in this
freak. It's
bubble.
weird.
I'm
Always been
happy these
around.
Warriors, them Warriors ain't in
They
this
was
bubble
healthy.
because goodness gracious. Oh my goodness, they'd have been the way these dudes are shooting threes in this bubble. Oh, it would irk my nerve. I'm like, oh my god, here they go. You know what I mean?
But thank God because at least Seth can get a little shine.
Right,
Yep.
right, right.
Your boy JB, your boy,
Yeah.
yeah.
The, yeah. One of the least impressive Duke teams to make the Elite Eight. He was on that team.
Yeah, man.
2013.
Good old Seth.
Good old Seth.
Yes,
I like
sir.
Seth. He like he has a good. I think he could be better too, man. I think I think that he hold back some to me. He can just play his
Yeah,
role.
but Seth been doing his thing. So going back to what we talked about a little earlier. So the NBA now, they posted right on Wednesday about a memo, pretty much saying, hey, you can bring family and long-standing friends to the bubble. So of course there's a lot of as far as the rules of that pertains. Now, when they say the term long-standing friend, it's somebody that you have had to have had a long-standing relationship or have seen that person before. So the language suggests it's hilarious. The language suggests something that I kind of was like, well, could I deem an Agi model as a family friend or a friend of mine or a long-standing friend?
Chris, I have a
The
question.
last part is ignorant.
Yeah, so let me ask you a question. So these people that are allowed to bring into the bubble, are they going to be tested every day as well?
Yeah, they'll be
Yeah.
tested. Matter of fact, they're gonna so basically
Okay,
what they
that's
have to
good.
do. Yeah, so what's gonna happen is basically this time next week they'll fly. So they have to have like documentation, like medical stuff, as far as make sure that they're good. So they'll get tested and they'll be in a bubble for 7 days. It just depends on the circumstance. Like if you fly private, it's a certain amount of days. If you fly charter, it's a different amount. But generally, if everything is cleared through quarantine, you'll be out of the quarantine by August the 31st. So pretty much the last case scenario is you'll be on the bubble by the 31st of August if everything goes to plan. So I think it's funny. Like I mean, like to me, the whole long-standing friend thing is kind of weird to me because to me it's more so of like the safety because I think like I don't mean to be like devil's advocate, but I'm like, what is the difference between a long-standing friend versus someone that you find attractive on the internet and I'm a single guy, and I don't think she has any dealings with any of my former my teammates or whatever. What could be the difference between her and a long-standing friend or anybody? I'm just saying. I'm just being devil's advocate. And that's all.
I know. to me, it should have been. You can have. Go ahead, JB. Go ahead, JB.
Come on, guys. Come on, guys.
Go ahead, JB. I can't get
Let's
it
keep
out.
it a
Go
buck.
ahead. For real, go ahead, JB. I'm dead serious.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
All right,
You
all
go
right.
again.
To me,
you go ahead. You go ahead.
All right. Let's look at the NBA. The players have done well. Okay, Lou Williams did this. He took whatever happened, and that was it. Like, why do you should say everybody can have one person comes, and it should be your choice. If they're gonna get tested and everything, man, look, everybody in that bubble and this stuff is completely different, right? And these are men. So like, I didn't even know Candace Parker. Did you know that she was able to have her daughter with her the whole time?
For real. Shout out to Sheldon Williams.
With her phone. So
Boy, I tell you, Hall of Famer.
I didn't even know that, but
Oh.
that was part of the negotiation with the WNBA when they did their negotiation. So I'm thinking to myself, a lot of these players, man, that is getting to them, they haven't, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They haven't, you know what I mean? And there's a lot of that going on, and you can see it the way they playing. You don't think the referees is not having that issue or agitated that they can't do what they want to do? You don't think that's going to affect the way they do their officiating? Come on now, they're human beings. Come on now, you got to. So I mean,
Yeah.
why would you put they not kids, man. They've been respectful. If they want to bring some Instagram model in, they should be able to do that. But they got to understand, they got to obey the rules. But I understand why the NBA is doing that because you
Oh
can't
yeah.
trust that.
And then the drama that could unfold. But to me, I'm like, look, dude, okay, face to face. Cause I've been zooming through the whole pandemic for the last like 4 months. Would that can be considered? I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, if I tell something that's like, I mean, I'm just trying to fight for these NBA players. I'm trying to be the Justin Fields. I'm just trying to be the Justin Fields of single NBA players in this league. I'm trying to fight for them and try to get them some IG models. That's all I'm trying to do.
Right? You know they said that. Right? So, how long is long time? Is it 2.5 months?
Right.
Is it 2 weekends? What about 2 Saturdays ago?
Right. Like,
come on, man.
I mean, we had a cup of coffee. Like, I mean,
right. What if it's somebody you've been talking to online for a certain amount of time, and if you never saw that person?
Right.
Well, you've seen her, but
Right. I've seen her, but I've never experienced.
Lexus, I've been on your OnlyFans page for about 2 years now. I was thinking you want to come in the bubble.
Whoa, double entendre. But anyway, I digress. But anyway, before this show goes far left, but yeah. And like you said, going back to Steven's point, so how they control it, what they do is they have a pretty much it has to be approved by the league. So it's in a weird way, it's a checks and balances when it comes to this, and it's funny, but I mean, hey. And I've heard 2 things where they do that so it won't protect. Like, so say for instance, and and this is just a hypothetical thing. So say for instance, James Harden brings somebody, and we know how he gets down. And what if he brings somebody that somebody else know? You know what I'm saying?
How does he get down, Coach? I didn't know. How does he get down?
I mean, I'll put it this way: he's a 31-year-old single NBA player. So. I shouldn't even put his name out there. It's just imagine a 31-year-old single NBA basketball player, essentially, and you can make up your own case or discovery of that. But he's what would be a typical 31-year-old NBA single basketball player. He gets around. He's had Hey, but that's what I'm saying. Guys like that, right?
Lou Williams. He
yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
I can't do just one. I gotta at least have 2. You know what I mean?
He got 2. But the funny thing is that and now to Steven's point, he said, do they have to stay in the whole time? Which I don't think you do. Well, it's more so of that's gonna be your only guest that you bring is final. So essentially, so if I want to bring,
So basically, let me just check this out. So like, let's say you're a guy, you have a girlfriend. Your girlfriend is getting on your fucking nerves. You want her to leave the bubble. You can't bring like number 2.
No,
you can only bring one person.
She's your final. She's your final. Okay. She's your final. Yep.
Damn. So NBA players, just listen to me. I know you probably don't think I can give you any solid advice. Make sure they don't get on your damn nerves. If you are a single guy,
I ain't even gonna front.
and you bring your girl,
yeah.
Just
who would you bring, Chris?
You mean who would I bring? Like as far
you could bring one person, and they saying that you don't automatically have to bring a chick. It could be your close homeboy. It could be your chef. Yeah. It could be a masseuse. It could be. Well, you know what I'm saying?
And that's another thing too. And that's what the weird thing about the league. So you can't bring a chef. You can't bring your agent. You can't bring your barber. Like you can't bring. It really hasn't literally. It's down. It's literally in the weird way. It's black and white. Literally, it's got to be a family or a friend. Right. A long-standing friend at that.
But but what if your chef is your friend though?
That's
So
what I
that's the
say.
thing too.
And
That you're saying,
right.
yeah,
So you got,
And
so you have to play around that. You have to. It's wordage. It's like, oh man, that's my friend, but he could be your. You know what I'm saying? It's wordage. I probably so. I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know.
y'all see is any room swapping happening? I mean, hey, it has a potential. Like to me, if I'm a single guy, and there's a couple single guys here with on a trip, hey, you tired of? All right, let's recycle.
Hey, Chris.
What?
You know the bubble reminds me of us on the road. You know that, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So before we got there, that's when they
Yeah.
was being all disciplined. But before we
Mm-hmm.
got there was all these stories
Yeah, oh
about
yeah.
people
Mm-hmm.
doing this and doing this and doing that,
Oh
and like,
yeah.
oh,
Mm-hmm.
he cool, girl. You can go ahead and mess with him. And the next thing you know, that person messing with another person, and this and that.
Oh
Remember all
yeah.
them stories, flip flopping
Mm-hmm.
and switching and swing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I could
Oh
definitely see
yeah,
that
that's
happening.
I'm definitely. I mean, yeah, I mean that's yeah. I mean, especially if we talk about long standing friends.
Right.
Yeah, and Lou will have his girls to have girlfriends. Yeah, go back to Steven's point where yeah he probably will. And the thing about it, I think you can brand. I think it just depends. There's a couple of factors. I think it just depends on how many. Like if you can, I think they say you can bring up with like two people. Like I forgot the number, but it just depends. And I think if children are in the equation too, where it kind of balances out. But I mean, it's gonna be interesting. Like if it was me personally, I don't know. Like I mean, I think it's somebody in the bubble. Never mind. It's
Hey,
some situations in the bubble which I'm like okay.
they
I'm
probably
like
say like, ooh, ooh. They probably wish they can, that I don't want to say the name, but the author of Video Vixen. They
yeah,
probably,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Right.
they probably like, ooh, I'm trying to
I'm
call
at a
her.
point where there's a couple, from what I've been seeing in the bubble as far as woman. I'm like, you know what? I mean, and not to mix business with pleasure, but I mean, just a nice little companionship after a playoff game. I might, I might pull a Luca and be like, hey, I just want some red wine with a beautiful woman one night. Who's to say?
Mm,
I mean, I'm just saying. Like, I mean, hey, there's nothing wrong with a little red wine and companionship.
right. Yeah. I mean, it's cool that the NBA doing. I know that,
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know, bro. It's I know they try to be careful and they've been doing well. It hasn't been no positive, you know what I mean? But
yeah,
I know one thing, these dudes been in that locked up for a minute.
yeah, yeah. But in all seriousness, I probably would bring like a long-standing lady friend. I'm not gonna front. I mean, I'm a guy. Like, I mean, if I've been, I mean, I think I'm an NBA guy, so like we talk about this all the time ad nauseum. They live
Mm,
a different lifestyle than most of us. Like
right.
I get 3 meals a day, but I don't get an endless supply of of what sometimes they receive. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But I mean, hey,
Well,
and I think
who'd
we
you
talking
bring,
right.
JB? JB, who you bring?
ooh, you know what? My, I've been overseas for 10 years, man. Probably I'm bringing one of the Korean girls I know.
Yeah. Hey, I mean,
Yeah, that's
right,
probably what I'm doing. Yeah.
right. I mean, hey, nothing wrong with no red wine and companionship. I mean, we're grown. Like, I mean, I'm just saying.
Well, with them being Korean, it'll probably be like soju and
Oh
companionship.
yeah, right. But yeah, man. So, and this brings up to our next topic, that guys, I really want to hear your thoughts on this one. So, Kemah Siverand, the former Seattle Seahawk rookie defensive back that did play for the Seahawks. He was an undrafted guy out of Oklahoma State. So he brung in a young lady to the team's hotel, and he tried, and of course he got caught. And one of the guys that it was going to do, he had the woman dress up like a Seahawk in Seahawk gear to make as if she was a part of the team. So with that action, it caused his release. So the young man at the tender age of 23 has pretty much pissed away his NFL career due to sneaking in a woman during the quarantine. Your thoughts on it? Who wants to go first? JB, I want your thoughts first.
Okay, when I read this, I honestly was like, the WTF? Like,
Yeah.
honestly, you're an undrafted free agent. You're probably going to be fighting tooth and nail to make the team, and you do something like that, man. Like, at some point or another, man, and I understand that I've been 23 before, all been 23 before, but you got to think with your big head, not your little head.
Right. Maui, your
And
thoughts?
that's all
I feel like the same thing is like, you see, I think he had to be it had to be a fall guy. And then, it's funny. I bet you when that happened, and the NBA might have looked and said, you know what, we might need to, you know what I mean? Because he threw everything. I think he, once he get past it, he might find a way still to be able to play in the league. But, somebody had to be the fall guy. You know what I mean? So now I think all sports, because this is the first story I heard something like this happening. You know what I mean? So I think like it had to be a fall guy, and was the fall guy. It sucks, but it had somebody. Now they know that these leagues ain't playing. Like, this is serious. You know what I mean? You got to take it serious. You know what I mean? For everybody.
Yeah, right. And the thing is, like going back to JB's point, where it's like, dude, like, and we'll talk about I'll talk about that momentarily, Steven. But the thing about it is, you gotta understand, you a undrafted free agent. Like, you probably wasn't gonna make the team anyway.
Right.
But right. So at least you could have said, hey, I didn't make this team, but at least I got film, and other teams can pick me up and this, that, and the third.
Right.
I can say, hey, I can say, well, Pete Carroll, because when you look at Hard Knocks, most of those guys who get cut, especially those, Labor Day weekend cuts, they can go on another team. Like, as far as they put a sufficient tape or sufficient intel of that player. So, somebody can call Pete Carroll and be like, hey, how's this kid, this, that, and third. Now it's like you have nothing. Like, you're screwed. Like, this is what, the second, third week of training camp, and you get kicked out for something like this during a pandemic, out of all places, like out of all of it. Because already, I don't think you can bring guests anyway, even in a normal time during training camp, from what I was hearing. But in this time, it's even more imperative because now you're dealing with two different things.
Right. Right.
But
and then if he might have been a big name player, like if it was Russell Wilson or something, they're not releasing him. You know what I mean? They're not. I do think the sports needed a fall guy, and this was the perfect fall guy for that. You know what I mean? Has anybody interviewed him? I wonder if anybody interviewed him, because you never know. It might have been other players doing it too, and he just got caught.
But that's the thing, and like going back to like Steven's point, he said, well, if it was DK, he wouldn't have got cut. Not necessarily.
Most definitely.
He wouldn't have got cut. But the thing is, you should know, as an undrafted free agent, I don't have the same leeway as everybody else. Right. When you have something to lose, you can't get caught slipping, because like to him, even he probably would even got cut for something as silly as missing a read. Because you're on thin ice already. Yeah, when you're at thin ice, like, and this goes back to even, all the cases we talk about in the NFL where white guys get cut, because they were at a point in their careers where they were expendable. Where it's like, okay, he's undrafted, and you gonna mess around like this? Oh no, it's a talent driven league. So at the end of the day, of course. If it was Russell Wilson, well, they don't care. They probably would have been. They probably been in her room trying to talk to Sierra, like here and there, have us a little slumber party or whatever. They would have made it an event if she would have came. But first of all, you're an undrafted free agent and you're sneaking a woman in your room and you're trying to play it off as if it was like as if it's one of your teammates.
Mm-hmm.
Like you knew, right? If you have to sneak it in, you know it's a problem, and you're an undrafted free agent. Like I swear, like dude probably would have been 10, 15 minutes late to like 15 seconds late to practice. He would have got cut. Much less doing something like this.
Right.
Like,
Oh yeah.
yeah. So it's just yeah.
But as like I said, I you're right. He shouldn't have done it, and everybody know that. But has anybody interviewed him? Because what if he? Think about it.
And really,
okay.
Is there really a need to interview him?
Well, yeah, because it seemed like to me they said the way he came up, he was very disciplined and did things a certain way. So him doing this, it was like he did all this and didn't get drafted and this and that, and then he just threw it away with this stupid thing. I mean, what if he wasn't the only one? That's what I'm saying. What if it was the norm? It's just that he got caught.
Yeah, that's just like everything. That's like if you're driving on the highway and everybody's going 80 and you going 75 and you get a speeding ticket.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And you don't but at the same time,
but it's not going to bring him back to an NFL roster. He's done. Like he's done at least for this year. Like
this year.
Oh yeah.
He's right. Like right, he's done unless he gets some at least hopefully he's developed some type of NFL relationships. Or your boy Mike Gundy. I'm a man. I'm 40. Look, can help him out or bail him out.
He was the fall guy. He's the fall guy, and they was like, "Look, man, just keep your mouth shut. Just take your L." What I'm saying? We got you on the back end because he wasn't the only one sneaking people in. If he was doing it, it was more people.
But the thing is, at that level, you can't do that. I mean, that's just like anything. Mm-hmm.
But Deshaun, my point is like, okay, maybe other people were doing it, but look at his situation. You're a free agent. You're going to be hard pressed to make the team. You need to be. This is something that my parents said. You need to be seen, but not heard. Right. He needs to be seen with his talent, but he doesn't need to be heard with doing the shenanigans. And he was stupid for doing it. It doesn't matter what everybody else is doing. You have to look at your own situation. What can I do?
It really does. And you could be the only one say, I'm just going to do this. But if you see the majority of everybody else is doing it, it's like, shit, I'm going to bring one in too. But come on, they definitely in a bubble. I'm just saying. I'm very disciplined. I don't do everything like everybody else. But I understand. I understand. And Chris, Coach, you know that we was on the road. But still, I know. You know what I mean?
But honestly, to be real with you, there were situations. Thank God to the computer. I mean, to the laptop. I mean, that laptop, but the Tindles. I mean, there was situations, but to me, I was like, you know what? When you got something to lose and doing something like that, you're just not gonna risk stuff. You're not gonna risk stuff like that. Like with my situation, I'm not gonna be messing around with somebody at somewhere I'm, this, that, and the third. And like, no, I'm not going to jeopardize it because I know at the end of the day, I know what I'm here for, and that's what he should have had. He should have had that type of singular focus, and it's only for a month, like literally, if that.
I know, and that's my point, Deshaun, is this, man. Why are you focusing on what everybody else is doing? Okay, maybe other people on the team were doing, but maybe there are staff veterans are not going to get cut for doing the same thing. As an undrafted free agent, you're on a thin leash to begin with, man.
Yeah, but I'm trying to tell you, a lot of team sports ain't like that. If you were just an oddball, this and that, I'm telling you, I'm just saying, especially football, because the defense, special teams is over here, defense is over there, and offense is over there. And then if you the oddball that don't always do this and that with the team, it could be a problem. If you always try to do stuff for yourself, I'm not sticking up for the dude. All I'm saying, I think he was just more or less the fall guy that they can get away with.
Well, he brought more attention to himself, though. But you brought more attention to yourself.
That's all I'm saying.
He brought more attention to himself. But like, he's not gonna alienate himself from the team because other people are not gonna be like, oh, well, he's not bringing girls in here. He's not a part of us or whatever. He needs to be focused on looking at film and trying to say, okay, I need to make an impact, so I make the 53-man roster. And he was more concerned.
I really believe that's how it is. I really believe that.
I mean, he has to. I mean, in his case, and it may be somebody different, but if it was me, if I know I'm at a point where I didn't get drafted, That's just between me being in the NFL to going back home and just being whatever. I'm gonna do whatever I can to get stay on this team. I'm gonna be real with you. Like, to me, you have to, because even like I said, even what I was saying earlier, even if he would have made it and got cut at the end, like right before, like the final cuts, at least from there he could have never had another opportunity, because other teams might be looking for somebody like him. He could have even snagged being on a damn practice squad. Like, he could have. That's what I'm saying.
And the other thing is this too, Sean. I'm gonna tell you a story, man, because I'm a Cowboys fan. So this is a very famous story that came out from the Cowboys in 1991. So there was a teamer. He had been on the team for a few years, but he was just a special team player. He fell asleep in practice. Jimmy Johnson cut his ass right then, right there. You sleeping in the meeting. Give me your playbook. I'm going to cut you. And they asked Jimmy Johnson about it. And they said, well, Jimmy, what would you have done if Emmitt Smith or Troy Aikman or Michael Irvin was sleeping in practice? And he said, I'm not going to cut them because they're an important part of the team. They are an important part of the team. They get a longer leash than a special teamer gets. And that's my point to you. As a special teamer, and everybody on a football team that is a special teamer, they know that they cannot fuck up, because if they fuck up, it will get cut. Whereas Russell Wilson does the same. He's not going to get cut. And that's my point. You have to be smarter. You have to know who you are and what you mean to the team, because special teamers are replaceable. There are a bunch of guys on the street that are special teamers. You get cut, another person's going to come right in, and the team ain't going to miss you. And that's my point.
Yeah, because it was just too much. He had too much. He had too much to lose, so he had to. Like, I mean, he had to stay in line and be disciplined. Like, I mean, sucks, but hey, I mean.
And the coaches look at it this way too. If he sat down undisciplined, this fool might do something stupid in a game and cost us the goddamn game by being undisciplined. That's another way that teams look at this shit too.
I got you. The NFL. Y'all must look at football players way different than I do. Cause
I mean, yeah, but
like this dude said on there, he said, man, I was more of the smarter ones. He said, that's why I only played 3 years and I have all my stuff in order. He said, a lot of NFL players, they're not the smartest guys in the world, but those usually be the ones that do well. That's what he got. Right.
But the thing about it, right. And the thing about it is he could have been on his way to having that type of longevity in the league, but he threw it all away for one night of red wine and companionship. I mean,
and did y'all see the meme today? They put a picture of homegirl. He's stuck in and they're roasting her.
Yes. Oh my God. I feel so bad for that dude.
I feel bad. They're roasting him too because she looks super basic.
Right, and that's like, God, like, you really lost your NFL opportunity for that. Like, dude, you could have got cut like Labor Day weekend and could have had all the fun you wanted, and then you could have got tested and been on and been on a team, Labor Day week. Hey, but this is a lesson though. This is a lesson for every man, woman, child, all of it. Where at the end of the day. Not more so as anything, just more so of, when you have something to lose, you can't do nothing to jeopardize it. When you got something to lose like that type of opportunity, you can't piss away these opportunities, because these opportunities may never come back to this man, and it's the potential. But I mean, hey, best of luck for him. Hopefully, like I said earlier, hopefully his boy Gundy got him good, as far as giving him a nice little connection in the NFL. And, hopefully, got some good intel from some NFL coaches, and maybe it'd be all good. But yeah, man, so let's put a ball in this week's Couch Coach Live, fellas. Let's see, let's do game balls. Who giving out game balls? Who you got, Maui? Your game ball.
I'm giving it to Porzingis. I liked how he stepped up and stuck up for his little homie, because I really believe that. Seriously, because I feel like he playing the Clippers, he playing a Doc Rivers team, And when I started watching it, it already would look like they was getting extremely physical with Luka. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So sometimes you need to be inspired, and I felt I was happy Porzingis stepped up and said, "I'm gonna stick up for my little homie."
Yeah. JB, game ball.
All right, I'm gonna get my game ball to Soto this week.
Mm-hmm.
He's crushing the baseball. And
Nice.
National League Player of the Week. Hit 5 home runs last, 12 RBIs, hit 470. And last night he hit a home run too, so he's coming back. COVID, he looks like he's recovered from the coronavirus. So kudos to Juan Soto.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate it. Yeah. Definitely huge shout out to Steven. Definitely I appreciate you checking us out tonight. Said great show, fellas. So my game boy, I got 2 this week. I gotta give it to my Club 1984 proud card carrying members. I got my guy Carmelo Anthony, class 2002 brethren. Just longevity, man. I'm just happy for him. As far as in that playing game, clutch shots, and just did I think he was gonna be in this league this time last year? I'll be real with you, I didn't think so. But and I remember a lot of people saying, well, should he have a farewell tour? And I'm like, I mean, yeah, I think he should. And it's merit. But too. At the end of the day, where I'm like, I'm glad that Melo is doing his thing at the great age of 36 years old, salt and pepper game. And I'm excited for him. And then, of course, I gotta go with my quarterback, like in my Terrell Owens voice. It's my quarterback. That's my teammate. Yeah. Another guy, a class of 2002 brethren of ours, JB, and another member of the Club 1984 club, Alex Smith, medically cleared to play football. And I to be honest with you, I don't think he's going to see the field, and I just know that's just what it is. But the fact for him to have 17 surgeries, to be out for 2 years, to a point where he almost lost his life and almost lost his leg, for him to even put on a practice jersey and practice in our luxurious bubble in Ashburn, Virginia, and for him to play, for him to even be cleared, it's just a miracle. Like, to me, this is is something that's it's to me it's really shocked, and it's not shocked, but it's unbelievable. And just to see everything, see how everything kind of took place as far as the rehab, and then kind of understanding the injury a little bit more than I thought I knew. As far as how it was really deemed as and how it was deemed more so of a combat injury more so than an actual football injury, which. That's another thing we like. Wow, that's another thing that really speaks volumes to it. And then, and then, like you said, the surgeries, the countless surgeries, 17 surgeries, and it's like, wow, man. Yeah. But definitely huge shout out to the Club 1984, the Club 84. Those guys are still pushing on for making an old guy like me, huh?
Y'all got a new president, don't y'all?
Yeah.
Don't y'all got a new president?
Yes, we got a new president. I'm excited for that. And a lot of people, and that's one thing I've been kind of like canceling the noise with it. A lot of people is like, it's about time and whatever. But it's like, to me, it's no time like the present. I mean, he replaced a guy like a Bruce Allen. And like, to me, it's like, hey, we got rid of the old guard, with Bruce being there. So I like it. And it's like the culture of what we're developing in Washington, as far as bringing in our brand new president. Also, just other changes, bringing in there's a lot of our changes. Of course, Ron Rivera is, of course, the anchor of our ship. And I'm just looking forward to the new name, and then new coach, new name.
New president, last place finish.
That's funny. You think so? All right, October 25th. I cannot wait. October 25th and Thanksgiving. Just be ready.
Oh, I'm joking.
I know. You know how we are. You know how we are. Yeah, our little banter. It's better. It's better. Shoot, it's better than being. I'd rather be that than 3-13. I mean, trust me, I'd take that any day. But I'm just looking forward to everything. This new team, this new era. I mean, we'll have a new nickname. Then we'll be back in DC. Then we'll be hosting a Super Bowl probably in the next 5 years. I mean, we're gonna be the quintessential. We'll have one of the most beautiful arenas this side of the Mason-Dixon line. And I'm excited. I'm really just excited of what's this new regime and this everything. This all the things that are going to happen with this organization. I'm really thrilled of what's going to happen going forward with this team. And hey, it's a new era. And
Deshaun, you okay? Deshaun, you okay?
Man.
You like you're about to go to sleep. I'm sorry. He's going on about this.
Hey, I mean, hey,
no. I'm not doing that. I just get out y'all way when y'all get to talking y'all dub and y'all. I can't even say why. I can't even say that name, but when y'all get to talking your Dallas and Washington stuff, I just be like, Lord, I need to get a business because when when you guys play each other, I need to get some type of service business because the economy in this area always do better. I ain't even gonna lie to you. I'm like, oh man, everybody out. It must be a Dallas and a Washington game.
WTF? I mean WFT. WFT. So final thoughts, fellas. All right. All right. So final thoughts, fellas, before we put a bow on this week's show.
Oh man, live sports. Everybody seem like it's moving forward. It's good to still be here with you guys. I'm trying to get my technology game up. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
I just appreciate it.
Yes, sir. JB, final thoughts.
Final thoughts. Enjoy the playoffs, man. This is very interesting. You have afternoon playoff games in basketball and hockey, man. This is like a really good time. If you are working at home, you can just chill, eat a sandwich, and enjoy some afternoon basketball, some afternoon ice hockey. Good times.
My bad.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Yeah. So final thoughts, man. Great show once again, fellas. Yeah, man. Just check out the podcast anywhere you get podcasts. Facebook, not Facebook, but also Apple, Spotify, you name it. We're on there podcast wise. Social media. Check out check us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Also check out the website, couchcoachlive.com. And then also one more thing. And then also check out the podcast as well on offtheballnetwork.com as well. All right, yeah.
Game ball. Gotta go to Couch Coach Live for, was it 500 followers? What is it, 800 followers?
800, yeah. On Instagram, yeah. Instagram.
Yeah,
yep.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Yep. All right, fellas. This has been this week's Couch Coach Live, man. We'll catch you guys next week.